Thank you for joining me for today's Facebook Live. I'm Dr. Erin Amato. I'm a psychiatrist with Montana Psychiatry and Brain Health Center, and also the medical director of the Center for Ideal Health. And thanks so much for tuning in, and congratulations on making it halfway through your week. I guess I can safely say that since it is now officially Wednesday afternoon. So today, what I'm hoping to talk to you a bit about is the concept of gratitude, which is very timely because it's the month of November, the month that we celebrate Thanksgiving. But it's also an important topic in terms of mental health and brain health. And I want to share with you today some surprising facts that you might not know about gratitude, and especially the connections that it can have with mental health and with physical health even. So, so one of the first things I think is really interesting about gratitude is that, um, and I found this a little bit to be a little bit sad, but people are less likely to express gratitude at work than anywhere else. Um, yeah, I find that to be kind of sad, and I think that if people were more mindful of that and they made more of an effort to express gratitude, that it would make a huge impact in the workplace. And so there was a national survey that found work is the last place that you're likely to also hear gratitude, which makes sense. Um, and only 10% of the people that they surveyed in this study said that they say thank you to their colleagues on any given day. And 60% of the people surveyed said that they never express gratitude at work. So I found that to be kind of shocking. So, with this being the case, one challenge I want to put out to you is to try to think more about who and what you're thankful for within your workplace. Because think about it, we spend so many hours of our day at work. Why not try to enhance the quality of that time and the quality of the relationships with our coworkers by being more grateful and outwardly expressing that too? So really try to make a point to say a quick thank you at least once per day to someone that you recognize has done something helpful, has done something maybe to help a client or a patient that you recognize that. And you could even go the extra mile with that and even write a quick note. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or long, but just a quick note or a small token just to say thank you or to tell them they're doing a great job, something like that. And what I suspect is that not only will you feel better as a result of doing that, but it really will potentially add something to the quality of the days for your coworkers too. So the second thing about gratitude is knowing some of the health benefits, the physical health benefits that are associated with it. So grateful people tend to have lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure. They tend to exercise more and engage in other health promoting behaviors like going to the doctor when that's needed. They tend to do that more regularly and just take better care of their health. And perhaps that's because if they are more grateful people, maybe they're more mindful of how they're grateful for their physical health. They're grateful for the ability um, to move and live without pain and all the things that we often take for granted when we are in good health. Another health benefit is that gratitude can help with better sleep. And there was a study done years ago by two professors. One was named Robert Emmons, the other is Mike McCullough. And it they I think talked about some gratitude practices. I mean, people that either do some sort of a gratitude journal or maybe just think about their day very mindfully about what they were thankful for, and they tend to sleep better. And Professor Emmons actually said, if you want to sleep more soundly, count blessings, not sheep. So I thought that was an interesting takeaway from that. So just keep in mind in terms of those health benefits that gratitude lowers stress, and stress plays a huge part in terms of what can have negative impacts on our physical and emotional health. So anything we can do that lowers stress is probably going to make us feel better and lead to some better health outcomes and even reduce some of the risk factors associated with chronic diseases. A third thing about gratitude is that it can enhance connections with other people and really even open up opportunities for new relationships. So, first of all, saying thank you just constitutes good manners, right? Isn't this one of the very basic things that we learn when we're growing up? Going to preschool, kindergarten, you learn to say please and thank you. So it constitutes good manners. But even beyond that, again, some of the studies that they've done about gratitude or where they've surveyed people, they've found that when people um, are gracious and they express thanks to someone, that even if that's a casual acquaintance, that acquaintance then says that makes them more likely to want to connect and engage in a more meaningful way with that person, which really, really seems to make sense. Also, in terms of enhancing those connections and relationships, having practicing gratitude and being thankful for the people around you tends to increase empathy and decrease aggression. Number 4, this is ways that gratitude can help emotional and psychological health. So, first of all, gratitude reduces toxic emotions. Things like envy, resentment, frustration, even regret. And these are things that often, when people are struggling with depression and anxiety, they may get stuck in this loop of things like regret, thinking about mistakes of the past, or maybe obsessing about or thinking about rerunning conversations or rethinking events of the day, over analyzing things. And when people stop and really mindfully try to practice some gratitude, often that crowds out the other toxic emotions and the things that people tend to ruminate about when they're not in a good psychological space. Also, gratitude helps to increase happiness and to even reduce depression, reduce symptoms of depression, which is always an important topic here in terms of what we do at Montana Psychiatry. Practicing gratitude can improve self-esteem. And this is something that I think is really important. In the world that we live in today with social media, often people get stuck in doing these social comparisons where they look at their own life and then they're looking at social media and thinking that the people that they're seeing on social media, whether it's friends or family or just even really random casual acquaintances, people that they don't know very well, but they start making comparisons between their own life and thinking that other people have it better in terms of better relationships, or they're doing better financially, they're taking exotic vacations, they start comparing themselves in terms of their physical looks and physical appearance. And we're really seeing the negative toll that this is taking on younger people, on kids, on teenagers, on young adults. This is having a huge impact on self-esteem. So it's really important to recognize that when you're looking at social media, all of what you're seeing is highly manufactured. It's highly selective. It's very much a facade. And what you're seeing is the highlights reel of someone's life and not the reality of what they're dealing with for most of the hours of the day. So try to keep that perspective in mind. And when you practice gratitude and you think about what you're grateful for in your own life, that can really help reduce that tendency to engage in those social comparisons and to then feel badly about yourself. Um, and also, I found this interesting too, that when people are grateful, instead of feeling resentment for other people's accomplishments, they tend to feel happy for other people's wins. And so I think that that's so important. And then the fifth surprising fact or interesting fact about gratitude is that it helps to build emotional resilience. Now, this concept of resilience is one that is coming up a lot now when we talk about how to try to improve people's mental health. This is a really big part of the conversation about, again, talking about children and adolescents and young adults and why they are struggling so much with increased rates of anxiety and depression and even suicidality. This concept of emotional resilience is really core, I think, to that discussion. So, what I'm talking about with emotional resilience is this ability to bounce back when people encounter challenges, when they encounter disappointments or failures or adversity, that instead of that completely taking them down, that they have an ability to reframe that in a positive way, or to reframe it in a way that they know that whatever the challenge is that's going on, that it's not forever, that things will get better, and they have the ability to bounce back. And so gratitude is something that can help build emotional resilience, and this is just something we need so much right now. As much as we talk about the importance of our immune health and making our physical health really solid, because of what's going on with the world in COVID, we really need to be thinking about our emotional resilience and emotional health to get through the mind-demic that's going on within the pandemic. And so with that emotional resilience, some of the mental exercises you can go through to help build that are just really thinking about what is the good that's happening in your life despite all of the dark times, despite all of the challenges that are going on. And I think for me personally, I find when I'm dealing with challenges or adversity, I think back to even stories I've heard about my grandparents, or about ancestors, or about my parents when they've gone through struggles, or even historical figures. I really enjoy reading biographies and reading about people overcoming challenges. And so I think it becomes a lot easier to put our own missteps, our failures, whatever it might be, to reframe that in a more positive way. When we think about all the things that are going right in our lives and all the things that we've done well, and think about how other people have bounced back during times of challenge. But with regard to this emotional resilience, some of the studies that they've done on grateful people showed that those that had higher levels of gratitude had an easier ability to overcome trauma, even things like trauma from combat and war, or even people that went through the experience of 9/11. Those that rated higher in terms of markers of gratitude tended to overcome the trauma and bounce back faster from that and had lower rates of PTSD. So, with that, with those 5 facts, I wanted to just share with you something that you may or may not have seen on our Facebook or our Instagram pages. Now, these are up for both Montana Psychiatry and for the Center for Ideal Health. But what we've done is a few days ago, we posted these 30 days of gratitude little signs that you can print off. And I know if I hold these up to the camera on Facebook Live, it's going to flip the text around. So it's probably not so easy to see. But I encourage you to go back. I think it was Sunday where I posted these. And then we were also going to attach the link to our websites, so that there's a PDF copy that you can download and you can print this off. And I encourage you to print off copies that you could keep at your desk. You could put it on the refrigerator at home. This is something that you could share with your friends or family. And for those of you that have kids, I really encourage you to share this with them and kind of walk through the different exercises, because these really apply to anyone of any age. And it doesn't matter that today is November 4th, because it is numbered 1 through 30, as if you could do one of these each of the days of the month. But honestly, it's not too late to start. It's very easy to do some of these, even multiple in one day, because they are just little brief exercises. And don't feel at all like this is something exclusive to the month of November. The idea of having this Facebook Live and releasing the 30 days of gratitude is to get you thinking of just some new exercises you can do to get in a more regular habit of being thankful and grateful. And so I really hope you find maybe just a few things even on these little guides that you can carry forward. So one of the first things that's listed for day 1 is to start a gratitude journal. So what you can do, you can find something that you already have at home, or like I went to TJ Maxx and I found these really beautiful notebooks that I think it was $6 for the two of them. But I know even the dollar store has notebooks that you can find. So I encourage you to get a notebook. As far as a gratitude journal, it's not something you have to do every day. I don't want this to become something that's tedious or that it loses its meaning. Maybe as far as doing something formal and written, maybe it's just once a week or just a couple of times a week that you jot some things down in a notebook. But what I really want you to do is just get in the habit of at least daily, maybe starting in the morning and thinking of three things that you're grateful for, or doing that at bedtime as you reflect on your day, thinking of three things that went well, three things that went right. Maybe it's three people that you were really grateful for during the course of your day. So that's where I just really want you to build in that pattern of consistency, is more along the idea of the thought patterns that you have and not just having to write in a journal. But I encourage you to pick up a journal somewhere. Also, it'd be nice to pick up some stationery or note cards, because I think a big part of being a grateful person goes back to what I was saying about the workplace and expressing gratitude towards people. Is it'd be nice to have some note cards or stationery that you could just jot down some quick notes that you would then pass on to other people. But I really hope you enjoy this exercise. I think there are a lot of fun things on here. I think that this is a lesson that we all need right now to get through some of the challenges that are going on. And I hope that you'll tune in with me next week, this same time, Wednesday at 12:30 Mountain Standard Time. I'm looking to make this a regular thing where once a week I want to check in with you, bring you some information, interesting information. And also, please let me know, even in the comments section for this Facebook Live, let me know if there are other topics that you would like me to cover in a Facebook Live, because I really want this to be a more interactive conversation that brings you topics that are relevant and timely. So with that, yeah, next week. So my idea for next week, since this is November, Thanksgiving is coming up, Christmas is coming up, but we are probably going to be celebrating differently than we have in other years. I know already we're talking about really scaling down or even skipping some of the usual Thanksgiving gatherings. In terms of offices, we've started having a conversation about what are we doing this year for office parties. So we're going to have to get creative with how we celebrate. And even if we're not going to gather in the same fashion, I think it's really important for us to be thinking ahead about how to make these holidays really meaningful, because that's something that we need. That's something we look forward to every year. But also, this we're heading into sometimes a challenging time as far as people dealing with seasonal affective disorder, the winter blues. And so we don't want social isolation or skipping over um, our usual plans to celebrate. And so I want to bring to you next week some ideas that I have about things that we can do for the upcoming holidays that still bring meaning and joy to us, even if we're celebrating a bit differently. So, so thank you all very much. Please follow us on the Facebook page and on our Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel that we're setting up so that we can upload these Facebook Live videos and bring you other content. But have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Thanks.